This is a DubaiEye 103.8 podcast. This is Afternoons with Helen Farmer.
Live your best life on DubaiEye 103.8.
Life Balance on Afternoons with Helen Farmer.
Delighted to be bringing you the experts, and while they can't be in the studio right now, we do have them on the phone. It's time for your finance clinic. Many of you getting in touch with some questions about general finances. We are having a bit of a deep dive into insurance today, but Tony Hughes is on hand to answer anything and everything. How are you, Tony?
I'm very good, thank you, Helen. Yourself?
I'm well. Have I stolen you away from a staycation?
Yeah, well, I'm on a staycation at the moment, so that's okay.
Good half term, and I feel like a lot of people maybe didn't have the summer that they'd planned. And I'm a firm believer that the odd night away is just what the doctor ordered from time to time. So thank you for taking yourself away from your pool lounger to answer my questions this afternoon. As I said, anything for Tony, 4001. Now, what are some of the questions and concerns that clients are coming to you with right now, Tony?
Yeah, there's quite a few at the moment. A lot seems to be around insurance. So a lot of people worried about, for example, medical insurance and if they lose their jobs. So, for example, if they lose their jobs and they don't have, obviously, a visa, then they won't have medical insurance. So is that going to be a problem? How do they get it? What can they do? A lot seems to be around that. A lot of people, and it's quite fitting actually that you've got a property expert on later, Mario, I think you said, because a lot of them who have bought property, purchased property in the last few years, are now really worried about the investment side of that portfolio and saying, okay, if I get let go, what do I need to do? And how do I safeguard not losing money from the investment? Mm-hmm. And where possible, what I try to say to them is, look, if you've got a property here and you don't have to sell, so you're financially in a good position where you're not forced to sell, even if you lose your job, then try not to sell. And what I say to the insurance side of it, if you're worried about redundancy, then seek out a broker who can help you out with a medical insurance prior to that, so you've got your own standalone just in case, because as soon as you don't have a visa, you won't be able to get medical insurance over here.
It's scary times, Tony. It is scary times. As I said, a number of messages coming in, very much reflecting that. Some people in a good spot right now, and that's great to hear. Now, I know we've spoken on Business Breakfast before about the latest insurance regulations, but I wondered if you could give us a quick recap in what I like to think of as real people speak. And I will stop you if any jargon is used, my friend.
I won't use jargon, don't worry. Basically, the new regulations are good for the consumer. So what they've done is the Insurance Authority, who's the regulator of the whole products over here, insurance products, have stopped regular savings products. So the reason they've done that is because of the amount of complaints about mis-selling and things like that going forward. That's not to say that the ones that have been advised on properly are bad. They are actually good. It's just that because there were so many complaints, they decided that's enough and to actually scrap that. What they've also done is cap on commissions to all advisors. And what that means is that the consumer should be better off. So we've run quite a few scenarios at Finsbury, and actually not all of them. So there's a certain insurance company that's actually works out the same, so it actually hasn't made too much of a difference, but one or two insurance companies that are about 10 to 15% cheaper than they were 10 days ago. So that's a positive. But the ones that are the similar kind of premiums, we are actually speaking to them to see what's going on, because obviously it's meant to be helping the consumer out to make sure we fit in line with the new rules. But it's all about trying to do the best thing for the client, for the consumer, for the customer, and turn around and make it a lot more transparent. So if you take out any product now, we have to make sure that we give you transparency. This is what we charge, and this is how we charge it. So that's a good thing. Definitely
a good thing. I'm going to the text line. MB has been in touch saying, I have finally paid off a car loan, so find myself with a, in quote, extra 3k each month. What should I do with it? I have no credit cards, but also no savings beyond an emergency fund. Thank you.
Well, that's an interesting one because now obviously they've stopped the regular savings as the contractual ones. There actually is quite a few non-contractual ones out there. So where you can put onto a platform and invest quite easily. And then that investment is not locked in. So there's no lock-in period for that investment. It's a kind of double-edged sword because it's good because you kind of feel the freedom of, okay, there's no lock-in, so that's good. But it's also bad because if you're saying that you have no savings, and this gentleman here has got no savings there, sometimes if you have access to that after 6 months or 12 months or 18 months or 24 months or whatever it is, then you might spend that. So even though it's a good thing to have complete access to it, sometimes I kind of like the pension. So obviously being from the UK, we have a pension that you can't access to 55 to 60. Sometimes that's a good thing. But being over here, because it's quite transient, it's sometimes better just to have that flexibility of a non-contractual monthly payment that you can put in and not have to worry about it.
Hope that helps, MB. Congratulations on paying off a car loan. It's always a great feeling. Gina's asking on 4001, how can I open a bank account for my children that their grandparents can pay into? I don't know where the grandparents are. I'm guessing Gina and the children are here. Is there anything locally or internationally you think could work out well there, Tony, or any other options?
Yeah, that's possibly the hardest one going. And
really?
The mad thing is banks actually allow credit cards for certain age kids, but they won't allow obviously direct debit cards, which is mad. So they're kind of encouraging youngsters to have credit cards at an early age, which I definitely wouldn't.
No, just say no, children.
No, definitely not. It depends what country they're from. You can't do a bank account under their name, but there's definitely, so for example, I'm from the UK, there's certain solutions in the UK that you can actually use, but again, a lot of it depends on where you're resident. So if the grandparents are resident, for example, if they're from the UK, then they can open up little accounts for them in the UK, but it is a lot harder than you would expect to open up little trusts for kids. There used to be little child trusts in the UK that you could actually do, but the HMRC stopped that quite a while ago. So there's a restricted amount of things that you can do. All I can suggest is open up an account in your name or your grandparents' name and then move it over when they're 18.
Kev's been in touch saying, last time Tony was on, he spoke about national insurance contributions, but I can't remember what I need to do or where I need to go. He says, I've been here 9 years and paid nothing. What does Kev need to do?
Okay, really simply, go onto the HMRC website, just kind of put NI, insurance contributions, and it will lead you to a page. I can send him all the details if he wants. It's really simple. You can pay as much as 6 years back. So you can actually pay 6, and it's class 2, which is £3.05 a week. So actually it then gives you a full pension if you get up to 35 years before, obviously, you retire. So the minimum amount of years you have to have for any kind of pension is 10 years, and obviously the full pension is 35 years.
Good to know. Thank you for that. Jason's been in touch saying, I'm starting my own company, classic COVID redundancy, sigh. I'm excited, but life admin is worrying me. Can Tony share best options for medical insurance for me, wife and baby aged 10 months? Thank you. Well, Jason, wishing you all the very best in the new venture, but this speaks to your point earlier about medical insurance. What would you suggest in this situation?
So I would definitely speak to one of the insurance brokers just to gather what kind of needs they will want. So will there be any future babies coming along? Because obviously he'll need maternity cover. Does he want dental cover? What kind of actual cover does he want? Does he want it international? Is it more focused on local? So as much as I'd like to say go for Bupa or go for Access or go for the Man or one of these, it all depends on what kind of coverage he looks for. Definitely needs to sit down with somebody and definitely needs to assess his options because, again, as soon as he doesn't have a visa, then that will come into force that he can't get it. So advise him to do it as soon as possible, speak to somebody and speak to a couple of different brokers and just get a kind of array of different prices. They're generally around the same. There's no real big discounts for SMEs as such. Now,
I can't have you on and talk about insurance without your top tip around critical life and life insurance, critical illness rather. What do we need to know? What are What insurance do you recommend that all people have, really, Tony Hughes?
100% you need to have critical illness insurance. That is something that nobody really thinks about. Everybody thinks they're infallible and I'm never going to get sick and I'm never going to get cancer or Parkinson's or have a stroke or anything. Even the fittest of the fit, it doesn't really matter. You want to protect yourself just in case of emergencies. And it's better now than ever because obviously with the new rules in, it will be cheaper. Even if it's 10 to 15% cheaper, at least to have critical illness. And what that means is if you do get one of the 35 critical illnesses, they will pay you out a lump sum of money. So, for example, I'm covered for $500,000. If I was to get, for example, cancer tomorrow, they would pay me $500,000. And that gives me the opportunity to stay in Dubai and seek out treatment and use my medical insurance and decide if I want to stay here and give me a lump sum of money to live off, or return to my home country and live over there, but have a lump sum so I don't need to go back to work if I don't have to. And then life insurance is massively important, obviously, to protect, your family that you're leaving behind. So your kids, your wife, and things like that. And also, one thing that a lot of people don't do, and that's protect their assets. So if there's a lot of wealthy people over here, so if you've built up your assets to over the inheritance tax band, which is around $1 million, if there's two of you and you've got a home, then if it's more than that, you need to have life insurance in trust to protect your future inheritance of obviously not paying 40% tax in the UK. So that's if you're from the UK. So definitely important to have life and critical illness for different reasons.
Marilyn's saying, any good company recommendations? How can you make the choice of finding the most suitable provider?
For life insurance or critical
illness, she's specifying.
Yeah, for critical illness, it's generally, I'll be honest, they're much of a much. They're international insurances, so most of them cover the same things: blindness, loss of limb, cancer, Parkinson's, stroke, heart attack, all of these things. And generally what you kind of want to do is just, because they're as good as each other, you just want to price check. So, okay, I've got a quote from this company, let me get a quote from that company. What I tend to do is I ask my assistant to always run all of the different companies we use to see which is the cheapest, and then I'll do an assessment to see if all of the critical illnesses are covered, and if they are, then I'll go back to the client with the cheapest one, because there makes no sense paying for more if you can get a cheaper one for the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, hope that helps, Marilyn. Staying with insurance, Bryn's been in touch saying, we've got some tech, furniture, in brackets, rubbish stuff, and a few pieces of jewellery. What insurance do you recommend?
Home contents insurance. Nobody has it over here. It's amazing. If I was back in the UK, everybody has it because they're worried about burglaries and things like that. Because we're not really worried about it over here, we're never going to get burgled because it's the safest place on earth, which it is. People forget about floods. People forget about fires and things like this. Home contents insurance is unbelievably cheap. You can typically get it for around 1,200 to 2,000 dirhams a year, depending on what you're trying to cover. But definitely get home contents insurance to cover a lot of those. And
I was wondering if we were going to get a message on this. No name on here saying, should I take my money out of premium bonds in the UK in light of recent announcements? I've got about £25,000 in there and would like to access it in a few years to use as a house deposit. I'm wondering if you've had a few clients asking this question.
Yeah, I have actually, and a lot of people like them, don't they? Because it's a kind of like a little flutter, and hopefully one day they're going to get that.
Tony, let me tell you, I win 25 quid every other month, but I hang out for that million. I've spent it a million times, but as we know, interest rate has plummeted of late.
Yeah, to me, there's a lot better investments that you can get out. I've got a lot of clients in some very good ETFs and fixed incomes that are paying a lot better than that, and is a good income for them, rather than that hope that you, oh my gosh, I'm going to win this year, and it's never
going to be me.
So, choose me, and that little finger on the advert coming down. I personally would take it out again. And utilise it in a better way, especially if they're going into property in the next few years. You can go into some ETF that you can sell out of in 3 years and hopefully make a nice tidy profit.
Tony Hughes, you're a star. I'm going to let you get back to your son lounge. I hope some Bob Marley is playing for you. And when you're back at the office, what's the best way of getting in touch with you?
Tony with an I, so Tony.Hughes at Finsbury-Associates.com, or on Instagram, MrMoneySmart on Instagram, or Finsbury. Go onto our website, Finsbury-Associates.com.
Brilliant. You're a star. Happy holidays, and I'll talk to you
And
soon.
you.
Life Balance on Afternoons with Helen Farmer.